Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Daily Wrap. Ooh, what a day today was. Today was Thursday, the 14th of July, 2022, and I just came back from my day off from streaming yesterday, and we had a ridiculous amount of stuff to talk about. There was gaming news. There was some updates regarding uh, my feelings about people reacting to things on my Twitter. Um, there was things that I wanted to talk about for my day off. There was so much to talk about that even doing an extended level 1 podcast this morning, I did not get to talk about all the topics. I realized at the end of the show, I'm like, wow, I didn't get to talk about some of the other stuff I did on my day off, like what kind of food I had and things like that, which people like to know. I didn't get to talk about the whole idea that I very soon am looking to upgrade my PC or setup here, which I feel needs to be done sooner rather than later because I keep having corrupted videos. Among other things, like we just didn't get to it, and the podcast was extra long. So it was funny because someone actually made a suggestion later in the day. They're like, when you come back from your day off, it always seems like you have a ridiculous amount of stuff to talk about. Did you ever think, on only those specific days, did you ever think of doing an extended podcast day where your podcast goes like an hour longer? So instead of saying an hour to an hour and a half, it's like 2 hours guaranteed to cover all the topics or whatever. Which I wouldn't be opposed to at the very same time, even with the podcast as it is, everyone complains it's too long. I say everyone, that's a ridiculous generalization. I shouldn't have said that. What I mean is there's a group of people who are under the impression that I shouldn't do a podcast. It should just be me doing gameplay all day long and talking over the gameplay because they just don't get it. They just don't. They still think that I'm the same as every other content creator out there. They think that I turn on my stream and now I'm going to gab with you guys instead of playing a game. Like, what? It doesn't make any sense. I want to play a game. I also want to have a podcast with some interaction with you. They don't have to always overlap. Like, there's so much to talk about outside of playing the game. Imagine if I just turned on Fable this morning without doing a podcast, and for the first hour and a half of Fable, all I did was talk about other shit and got nowhere in Fable, or flubbed through Fable and just failed and sucked and hated the game. Then all I would hear is, oh, your content's terrible, right? But anyway, I digress. The podcast was a good one, and then we jumped into Fable Anniversary, and I'll tell you, I didn't know how it was going to go today. When I did my premiere stream of Fable a few days ago, it did not go well at all. People were disengaged, so bored. They were not even directly answering questions I had for people on stream. Like, geez, guys, do you know anything about the magic? And you know anything about this game? What do you think about this game? Zero responses. People were so disconnected. We're doing their own thing, okay? Today was the opposite. I think what happened is when I talked about this the other day, some people listened up. They were like, oh, shit, we like Halo. We like Fable. It sucks this happened. Let's make a concerted effort to show up to the Fable stream on Thursday and try to save this playthrough. And they did. I'd say there was a good at least 10 to 15 people who were not on the first stream who showed up and they were engaged. They were interacting with me. They were being nice. There was a great amount of engagement. There was a great amount of support. Today, I can't complain. It was a good stream. The game frustrated me a little bit today because it's an outdated game and it's freaking 20 years old. But for the most part, it was a great stream. We made good progress. Everyone seemed to have a good time. So, night and day from the first stream. And now I'm excited to continue the playthrough. I just hope that it keeps up. You know, it's much like I said with the Final Fantasy VII playthrough as well. I'm skeptical about the longevity of the playthrough because it's an older game that doesn't necessarily have as many modern gameplay mechanics that would hold up for a modern audience. All right? And because games are older, people tend to write them off. Oh, that's boring. It's outdated. It's too slow paced, especially RPGs. Oh, God. And I love RPGs. I grew up playing them, but he's playing an RPG. That's so boring. It's not action-based button masher like Final Fantasy 15 or Kingdom Hearts, so it's got to be a shit game, right? So it's hard. It really is hard, especially during these summer months when there's nothing new to maintain that audience for those games. But so far, so good. Like, Final Fantasy VII's been doing great, and now Fable, we had a good stream, so I'm hoping to keep that pattern going, okay? The late stream tonight was all over the fucking place. We started with the conclusion of Zelda 2 on NES. I thought it was going to take a while, because I had heard that the final boss of the game was incredibly difficult to the point where a lot of kids basically never beat the game because they couldn't figure out how to beat the boss without cheating. And a lot of people were like, yeah, it's literally the hardest boss in NES history. It's infamously bad, okay? So here's what happened. First of all, last time around, I got lost in this final dungeon because it has 3 different dead ends that you can go to. And if you go to any of those, you have to backtrack almost the entirety of the dungeon to go back to where you're supposed to be. It's one of the worst designed dungeons and most frustrating ever. thank you to Mr. Papavero who provided a map last time. This time I was able to get through the dungeon in about 20 minutes instead of 2 hours. And there's 2 bosses at the end, okay? I would actually say the first boss is more annoying because the only way to defeat it is to use this thunder spell. It's really the only reason the thunder spell exists in the game is it takes off the force shield that this thing has and exposes its face so you can hit it. And then after the thunder spell is activated and you learn its pattern, it's actually not that bad at all. And then after that, you got the last boss, which is Shadow Link, okay? I will just say it this way. I don't want to spoil how it happened, but it's probably the most ridiculous, underwhelming thing ever. Go watch it. And it's funny because already, immediately, of course, people have to be dicks to me. Oh, you cheated. I didn't cheat. I legitimately did not ever look up a guide for Shadow Link. The only time I ever saw anyone actually fight him was the Angry Video Game Nerd, and that was a video made, 15 years ago? It was his Power Glove video, where he basically said no one can beat the final boss, and the Power Glove beat it for him without even him doing anything. But outside of that, I never fought this boss. I looked up 0 strategies, and what happened. So I beat the game within a half an hour. Okay? Now what do we do? Now we got, like, so much time. So people were like, do some gameplay. Why not jump on PlayStation, on your PS5, and under the PS Plus service, there's a couple fighting games that you tried out, Third Strike Online Edition, as well as Hyper Street Fighter 2 HD Remix. Why not try to play those online? You played it at the launch of PS Plus Premium, and there was people playing, and it was good. So I jumped on Third Strike. I maybe got 2-3 matches that were legit. Most of them were insanely laggy. Rollback netcode in full effect showing how bad it is. Skipping around, taking back hits, skipping the characters all over the screen is a joke how bad it is. Excuse me. The only time I could find players was consistently was a lobby. But the lobby, you have to wait forever. And even then, 2 out of the 4 players in the lobby had connections that were like 350 milliseconds. Have you ever played a fighting game with a 350 millisecond delay? You might as well not play at all, okay? So I quit on that. I said, let's do some HD Remix. Oh, 0 players playing it. 0. So that was a bust. So we had basically an hour extra to kill. So I switched over and we did Q&A for about an hour. And the Q&A was pretty fun. There were topics all over the place. Incidentally, we tried not to touch upon the whole PC upgrade and food topics because I want to talk about those on the Level 1 podcast tomorrow, and I don't want people who weren't here for the impromptu Q&A to miss out, okay? It went well. I mean, even this random stream, this random-ass stream of things that were unplanned kind of coming together, people loved it, hung out, chilled, engaged, they were positive, and there was good support too, so great day back. I had a good day today. Thank you guys for that. Tomorrow we're going to be doing Final Fantasy VII on the first stream. I'm excited to continue on with the plot of that. And then Capcom Fighting Collection on the late stream, Friday Night Fights. And thank God we're at least getting consistent matches in that because, man, can you imagine if it was just as bad as the other games I tried to play tonight? But it's the different there. There we're getting consistent matches. It should be a good time. All right? Guys, thank you so very much. It was a great streaming day. I really had a good time. I hope that you guys will join me tomorrow for another full day of streaming fun. Have a good night. Peace out. See you. Ooh! I struck my mic with vicious force. See you later in the morning for Final Fantasy. Peace.